Welcome again to the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. This is a school and not a church, and neither are we affiliated with any religious organization. This school is a non-profit, non-denominational, religious and scientific research organization dedicated to showing proof of the existence of Yahweh our Elohim and the operation of his eternal purpose, pattern, and plan operating throughout eternity unto this present day. This school was established as a result of a divine vision and revelation given unto our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, in the state of Ohio in the year 1931. We were incorporated in the state of California in 1958, and we presently hold classes throughout the United States and in various other countries. The Oceanside branch was established in 1994. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you the Dean of the Oceanside branch, Dr. Dennis Volpe, and our President, Dr. Carl Emler. Now, in this school, we use the true, correct, and original name and title of the Father, the Word or Son, and the Holy Spirit as they were contained in the original Hebrew text. The true name of our Heavenly Father is Yahweh. It has been improperly substituted by Lord. The true title for the Word or Son is Elohim. It has been improperly substituted by God. And the true name of the Holy Spirit manifested in or out of a physical body is Yahshua. It has been erroneously substituted by Jesus. Now, Lord and God are titles and not names, and the Apostle Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, tells us in 1 Corinthians 8:5 that there are Lord's many and God's many. But we now know that each Lord must have a name and each God must have a name also. Now, Elohim is a title, but unlike the titles of Lord and God, Elohim is a divine title. That means Elohim is the title that our Creator has chosen for himself. Jesus is a name, but it is an erroneous name, and upon a minor investigation on your part into a good dictionary or encyclopedia would prove that neither the Hebrew, the Greek, nor the Latin languages have any characters or letters in their alphabet that would produce the sound that is made by this letter J. Neither was there a letter J in the English language until some 1400 years after the death of the Messiah, making such names as Jesus and Jehovah impossible renderings for the true name of our Father and his Son. Now, Christ is a title just like Lord and God. Now, Yahweh is pure spirit, and in this state, he is incomprehensible and inscrutable. He is the ultimate source, substance, limits and bounds of everything. We have Yahweh symbolized on this chart as a cloud. Now, Yahweh is not a cloud. He merely chose a cloud to symbolize himself, because a cloud has no particular or descriptive shape and form. And we have drawn this cloud all around the edges of this chart, so that everything on the chart is within the cloud. In like manner, everything abides within the pure spirit state of Yahweh. Now, Yahweh, knowing that mankind could not perceive of him in this pure spirit state, took on shape and took on form right within himself as Yahweh Elohim. This is the Word or Son, a superincorporeal being, that is, having the shape and form of a man, but without flesh and blood. Now, this form could only be seen in divine visions and understood only in divine revelations. Later on, this self-same spirit manifested himself in a physical body and walked the earth plane as Yahshua the Messiah, whom the whole world calls Jesus Christ. Now, there is only one name given unto our salvation, and we must know that name. So the simple yet intelligent question that we should ask ourselves is, what did they call this man during the time that he walked the earth plane? Now, a further understanding of this name and title may be had by reading the preface to the Holy Name Bible. Now, also in this school, we teach by the divine pattern of the universe. It is called the divine pattern because it is Yahweh's pattern. After Yahweh led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, Yahweh Elohim called Moses atop Mount Sinai and showed him the tabernacle pattern in a vision. Yahweh later instructed Moses to build one exactly like the one that he had seen in the mount. Now the tabernacle pattern is a threefold pattern consisting of a most holy place, a holy place, and a court round about. These three compartments make up the one tabernacle pattern. We go about in this school to show proof how that everything in the universe is made and operates according to the structure and function of this threefold tabernacle pattern, and that absolutely nothing escapes the pattern. Now, the 10 primary constitutional objectives or aims of the Institute are as follows. First is to help you find and know Yahweh our Elohim, as he really is and actually exists. Second is to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity in Yahshua the Messiah, without distinction of race, nationality, creed, sex, caste, or color. Third is to investigate the unexplained spirit law, or so-called law of nature, and the powers latent in man. Fourth is to encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religions, psychology, philosophy, and modern practical and occult science. Fifth is to extirpate current superstition, skepticism, and ignorance. Sixth is to learn, know, and understand the operation of Yahweh's eternal purpose through the dispensations and ages. Seventh is to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, the serpent, the devil, the dragon, or Satan and his demons, operating the mystery of iniquity on earth through the dispensations of time. Eighth is to earnestly contend for the common salvation and faith, which was once delivered unto the sons or children of Yahweh. Ninth is to make known that Yahweh from the beginning ordained that there is no other name given among men whereby man can be saved, saving the name of Yahshua the Messiah. And 10th is to inherit eternal life now in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah, with the hope of immortal glorification in the new earth state. Our watchword is peace. Our slogan is speak the truth. We'll begin this evening with a prayer by Andrea Volpe. We'll have a scripture read, and that will be read by Jerry Geller, and that will be
Psalms 139.
Psalms, the 139th chapter.
Let us all bow our hearts and minds. Thank you, Yahshua, for having us come here once again. Thank you for keeping us strong in the truth. Thank you for always taking care of us, for loving us, and for being our Savior. In his precious name, let us all say, Hallelujah.
Good evening, class. Tonight I'll be reading Psalms, the 139th division from the Holy Name Bible. O Yahweh, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my downsitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Yahweh, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall my hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be a light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. For thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret, and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O El! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O Elohim. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Yahweh, that hate thee? And am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. Search me, O El, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Psalms 139. On the stand.
Oh, thank you. And our first speaker will be Dr. Jerry Gill.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jerry. I don't have a whole lot on my mind, but I will have something to say about my Heavenly Father, because he so deserves all of our praise and our love. I've been watching the news, and there's been just a lot this whole year on police brutality. And you see that those men that are paid actually to protect us are not protecting as they should. And I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of how they're not protecting, because it's just the principle of those that had been set before us to protect us and keep us from being harmed have actually done the harming. And it's a prevalent thing in the news these days. And I just found it interesting that those that have been put before us, some of our authorities that have been placed there for the protection of the people, have actually done harm by erroneous doctrine that is being perpetuated. And just as the police nowadays expect you just to fall in line and be obedient even and accept even with the brutality that they're using, really they use, some use intimidation and the same type of thing, threatening and all those type of things to intimidate people into accepting things that are not right. And they do the same thing out in the world. And to me, it was just a blatant sign. The other day I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm getting so sick of this. Every time you turn around, there's some police brutality going on again. You know, and it's like, get used to it, because it's an everyday occurrence. And I got to thinking it must have something to show us from a physical standpoint. And there are those that are in charge of laws, if you will, and rules that are there for the purpose of protecting us. And we find that those same laws and rules don't protect us, and we find ourselves in a position where we clash with the authority. And so we understand well what these poor people are going through that are on the other side of the law. Anyway, enough said. That's all I wanted to say about that. That's just something I noticed when I was going, oi, gewalt, look what they're doing again, every time you turn around. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I enjoyed the scripture lesson so much. I think the kind of theme I got out of the thing was that Yahweh's got it all under control. Mm-hmm. Because in here it says that Yahweh has searched me and known me. He's known my downsittings, my uprisings. He knows everything. And I don't want to read the whole chapter again because I just read it. But, a lot of people have voiced over the years to me that they don't feel comfortable. They have problems praying unto Yahshua. They don't really know, are they praying to something within them, or are they praying to, we know we're not praying to some God way out there in the universe somewhere, like Orion, where I was praying to at one time. Dear God in heaven, way the heck out there. That's what I used to think. But when you realize, I suppose this could be comforting or discomforting. To me, it's comforting that Yahweh, He knows everything that you're thinking. He knows what your heart is. And so many times you get, I know there's times I feel like, somebody, if they only knew my heart, But Yahweh knows your heart. You don't ever have to worry about Yahweh misinterpreting what your intent is. And you don't have to worry really about Him interpreting correctly what your bad intent is. Because here even David ends the thing saying, search me, O Elohim, and know my heart, and try me and know my thoughts. This is verse 23. Verse 24, and see if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And that's just the whole thing that's so comforting, is it's Yahshua the Messiah. There's a verse in there, I don't know where it is, that talks about Yahweh, or Yahshua, is the one that even causes us to will to do Yahweh's pleasure. It's when you come to the realization that Yahshua's got the whole thing under control. He knows exactly where you are. You're exactly where He wants you to be. And He is moving you along towards righteousness all the way. I'm talking to the sons, obviously. If you're in iniquity and you're like pining away, that's not something. I'm not trying to say He's leading you in that. But I'm just saying He knows what you're going through. You don't need to. It's not like if I have a problem, I got to come, Andrea, I got this problem. Let me see if I can put it into words. You don't have to do that, because Yahweh knows all your thoughts. Mm-hmm. You don't have to formulate a sentence in your mind, although I do. When I'm thankful to Yahshua, formulate sentences within my own mind how thankful I am. But whether you do or not, Yahweh is constantly searching your heart, and He knows what's there. It's not like you have to say, oh my goodness, I didn't pray for that. I suppose He doesn't know. He knows. He's put us into that situation, and He hears all of our groanings, which it says cannot be uttered. Mm-hmm. And most of the time our groanings can't even be, half the time we don't even know what exactly is my problem. I just feel disconnected, or we can't even put words to our own problems. But He knows. Mm-hmm. And if we can just keep focused on the fact that Yahshua, it's in your hands, and remain thankful and appreciative for the things that He's done for us, everything's just going to fall into place. There's a parable that Yahshua gave over in Matthew somewhere there, where it talks about how the very heads of our hairs, the very hairs on our head are numbered. Mm-hmm. And that if He so would feed the birds in the air and etc. You understand what I'm saying? Then how much more would he feed us, his sons? So it's not like we have to sit and wonder, does Yahweh have the best intentions for us? One of my favorite verses is over there in Philippians, where it talks about he that has begun a good work in you will perform it. It doesn't even say finish, it will perform it, because he's the one that's doing the performing. He's the one. And so many times we'll say, oh, I wish he would make me righteous, or I wish he would make, but really it's him that's got to do it. If we sit around and think, oh, I got to wait until I'm perfected to have Yahshua working in us, we're in trouble, because it's his righteousness that we're clothed in, not our own. And I know what it's like to seek after your own righteousness, and you are always going to fall short of righteousness of your own selves. There is no righteousness in man. The righteousness that we have is Yahshua in us. So we don't need to sit around and worry, oh no, is this not right, or is that not right? Because as it says in this scripture lesson, Yahweh, he's searching the hearts. We trust him to let us know those things that aren't right. And you know what? Is there anyone that doesn't have a witness of Yahweh pointing out to you something that's wrong? Because I know when I do something that's wrong, or when I think something that's wrong, I may blurt it out of my mouth for a minute, but he will correct me on that thing. Always. He corrects me on that thing. And sometimes we think that just because that thought came into our head, that must be a permanent thing within us. And that's not true. Thoughts come in our minds all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like, you know how you say, I remember this one movie, it was like Animal House. And there's this little devil saying, do this. I won't say what it says. Do this, the little devil. And then the little angels over here saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Well, that's kind of how it is, except for the fact that the devil's putting these things in our thoughts all the time. And that's never going to stop. You're never going to have a time when it stops coming into your mind some wrong thought. Mm-hmm. And I used to think, doggone it, I don't have the Holy Spirit. Look at all these wrong thoughts that keep entering into my mind. Or look at this, that, or the other. But you know what? Every single time, it might not be that day, but sooner or later, I know, Yahshua's going to correct that thing. Mm-hmm. He's going to correct that attitude. Mm-hmm. He's not going to let it sit there. And this is a thing too. I'll have some attitude or some unrighteous thought enter into there. And the thing is, you just don't entertain the thing. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't help it. You're like, hey, that sounds pretty good. But the one that's within you, the one that really knows your heart, the one that knows that you're trying to do the right thing, he's going to call that to your attention and say, whoa, Nellie, that's not who you really are. Cut that out. And it's a place of peace to sit and know that Yahshua's got it all under control. That you don't have to worry about fixing yourself and cleaning yourself up and stopping those thoughts. That's his job. That's his job. All we got to do is keep Yahshua in the forefront of our minds and press forward towards the mark of the high calling. That doesn't mean being complacent with whatever those things are you know that need to be changed. But you press forward. And you know, when you press, I mean, there was a time when I used to pull out my iron and press. Nowadays, if you have to iron it, I don't want to buy it. But you get the iron and you have to press. And we just had this talked about in one of our class, how that the heat and stuff like that, we're going through the furnace of affliction, and how we get heated up sometimes, and up to the surface comes something, and then we should be glad about it, because if it hadn't come to the surface, we wouldn't have known it was there, so it could be eradicated. Sometimes stuff comes to the surface so that you know that it's there. It's because he's looking within the heart. He's finding those things that aren't righteous in his eyesight, and he's causing them to come to the surface so that they can be gotten rid of. It's all an automatic thing, and he's got it all under control and is taking care of everything. And I know my own self, I'll testify to this. I trust Yahshua completely with my soul. Completely with my soul. I have seen enough witnesses how that he's got my back. What he's pulled me out of, the changes he made that I couldn't make my own self, to know he's got it covered and he's got it under control. Therefore, I am at peace. I'm at peace with Yahshua the Messiah. And it's not because I know a lot of thoughts and verses and run lines and can preach like there's no tomorrow. It's because I know Yahshua. Knowing Yahshua and who he is, Yahshua, there's nothing that will give you peace like that. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. And our next speaker will be Dr. Vicki Knuth. Make it?
I was just saying in my head, please not me. Thought that, huh? Thank you. Like Jerry, you know, it's an honor to say anything about our Creator Yahshua, and I don't ever want to not have anything to say about him. Geez, there was something I'd been thinking about, now I just lost it. Let me go look at this. Got it. Oh, I know what I was thinking about. And Mel was talking about it too, how that the mystery of iniquity, he's really working a work. And you were just talking about that too, Jerry. How he's just working really hard to cause confusion, get attitudes, I don't know, just working his work to get people frustrated, and it's working with me right now. It is. I am getting frustrated, and it's all dumb stuff. It's just, you know, this life that we have to live, and I was thinking that I just want to be in a room and just think about Yahshua. That's all I want to do. You know, it's like one of those things, you want the world to go away. I was having one of those days. Just go away, everything go away. But you know, and I have a lot of witnesses too that Yahshua has had my back and done many, many things for me. And I don't know where I'd be without him. I'm trying to remember what. I had some stuff on my mind and it's gone. It's frustrating. I guess I just can't thank Yahshua enough for all the things that he's done for me and things that he's helped me with, problems he's gotten me out of. And I think about the times where there was a couple situations where people were like pressing me for information and wanted to know things about the gospel and about the truth. And my memory kind of goes in and out. Sometimes it's, you know, I can remember pretty good, sometimes I can't at all. And in this one particular time I was working and a priest was bugging me.
A priest?
A priest. And he started getting real snotty and kind of cocky about one thing or another. I don't know how anything even started, but I didn't know the scriptures, but Yahshua was bringing them to my remembrance. And he was just bringing these right into my head, and I could actually physically read them in my head. And I'm reading the scriptures right, you know, the book wasn't there, but it was in my head. And I'm quoting these scriptures, and at first he was okay, and he kept arguing back with one thing or another, but then he couldn't deny what I was saying. And he knew they were all in the book. And he got really mad. And I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe I remember this stuff. And then as soon as you think that in your head, you realize, I'm not remembering it. Yahshua's doing it for you. It's Yahshua. And I knew that. But it's just so interesting how irate he got immediately. And this is a person that professes to know the Bible and teach the Bible. And it just, you can't deny the way the mystery of iniquity works. It's just so many different ways that are, some of them are so subtle that you don't expect it at all. And some of them are just blatant right in your face, like all the evil things that we see on the news. But I always think of, there's two songs, and I don't know if I can remember both of them right now. One was about, this girl was singing about she'd met the devil and didn't know he had blue eyes and blue jeans. Remember that song? It was one of the Gibbs.
Country Western.
What?
Country Western.
No, I don't think it was. Was it? Do you remember the song?
I remember one like it.
Okay, yeah. I've met the devil and he's got blue eyes and blue jeans. Now that's the subtle one. And then there was another one. Anyway. Oh, what was that other one? It was about God. If God had a name,
Yeah.
would you say it to his face?
No, that was Joan. Oh, what if God was one of us? Just
Yes.
like one of us. Joan
Yeah.
something or other.
Yeah, and if you met him on the bus, yeah. You know, there's just so many reminders how Yahshua is in our life, how he's there, how he does everything for us, he thinks for us, because my brain has kind of went bye-bye a long time ago. You know, I just can't thank Yahshua enough. Wow. I had all this stuff on my mind and it's just gone. You know, of course, we can't deny, you know, you were talking about it today, Dennis, about how the mystery of iniquity, how he's affected our lives. One thing about the terrorists, how the different things that they've done and the things that have happened to everybody because of that. And every day there's something new going on about bombings and the terror that they're causing all over the world. And it's just heartbreaking to see. But on the other hand, we know that Yahshua's got it under control. He's causing this all for a reason. There's all something in all of it that we can learn. It still doesn't make it any easier to take. You know what, I feel like I'm just rambling. And I just want to thank Yahshua for allowing me to be here, to sit and take a seat and learn anything, to hear anything about him. And I just want all praise to go to Yahshua. I'm sorry, my brain is just gone right now. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Dr. Diane Emler.
Good evening, everybody. If anybody remembers who I am, since no one can remember.
I remember that.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've had a couple people both talk about the events in the world, the news, how profoundly violent everything has become. In our own country, with different, the Boston bomber, the guy from Colorado who was shot up the movie theater, he's on trial now. What's going on in the Middle East with ISIS. You had an event where there was a cartoon contest where some people, actually it was only the perpetrators, these two guys I think were the only ones that died. But the contest was who can do the best cartoon to deface Muhammad.
Oh, South Park.
And so that was the contest, and then lo and behold, some Islamic people took offense to that, and we're going to go in and shoot everyone up. And the way people think is befuddling. I mean, what would happen if someone had a contest to deface Jesus as much as possible? How many people would be upset about that?
Probably.
A lot of people.
They would really shoot
A
you.
lot of Christians. Well, you don't know what they would do. And the shooting, I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do by any means, but just an example of how people egg on other people.
Yep.
And then don't understand why people are violent against them. It's in the Middle East. Part of the problem with the Palestinians is they have no jobs. And they have no jobs because Israel has quarantined them off and won't let them go to work. And so it's not only the religious faction, but it's also these people are living in poverty because the Israelis won't let them work. See? Now, what do you expect people to do if you don't let them work and they have no money?
Yep.
I know when I was in Israel, there was some unrest that was taking place. And everything in Jerusalem, the Israeli soldiers just walked in and shut down all of the shops of the Palestinians. So they just walk up and they say, "You're closed," period. And they shut down the shops, and these people's livelihood is gone. See? So the violence is everywhere for a lot of different reasons. And I think that beyond a shadow of a doubt, it is worse now than I know I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I dare say that we've had different points in history where there's been horrific things going on. But this is everywhere. Every single day there is something, some horrific event that has taken place. And if it isn't man against man, then you have, an earthquake that it does, I don't know, there's going to end up being 5,000, over 10,000 people dead. We saw it on the news last night where there was a village where a lot of climbers would gather, and there were 5 different hotels and 2 guest houses, and when the earthquake happened, it caused a mudslide, and there's nothing left. I mean, it's just dry, open mud. There's nothing there anymore. It's gone. Nothing. I mean, it's just, you can't go and see the crumpled buildings. It's just all gone under mud. See? So the events of the world, you would hope, would cause people to stop and think. Stop and think about what is going on in their own lives. But that's not what happens. See? One group then just gets even madder at the other group, and you have the police violence that Jerry was talking about, and then that violence, and then people are violent and get that, and then of course they have to up the ante, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's insane.
It is.
See? Now this is Satan's kingdom.
Yep.
See? And when he fell from that Garden of Eden, when he deceived Eve up here, why don't you get that for me? I want the punishment. It's got to be in the 3rd chapter. That he will be,
Bruises, heel, and all that.
well, that he'll be subject to the ground, to the dust of the earth.
14, Genesis
Yep.
3:14.
Ready?
Yep.
Genesis 3:14. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this.
Because thou hast done this. And what he did is that he lied about what Yahweh said. That's what he did. See? Because even though Yahweh told Adam, see, not to eat of the fruit in the garden, and Eve believed Satan when he said it's okay. He didn't mean you were going to die. He just meant that you would be like a god. Now, ISIS is over there. They consider this guy in charge of ISIS a god or direct descendant, see? And they are following after him. And they're following after him like he's the Messiah, and whatever he says, they will do. And they, without question, see? And here, the mystery of iniquity told Eve, you will be like a god. So now in ISIS, he believes he is a god. See? Well, there's only one God.
Right.
And it's not Mohammed, and it's not Henry Clifford Kinley. Do you understand? It's not any of the Hindu gods. See? It's not the Green Bay Packers.
Not the San Diego Chargers.
Certainly not the San Diego Chargers.
Not the Padres.
Oh, she said bad things about the Padres. His whole countenance fell when you said Padres. Anything that you put in front of Yahweh, in front of Yahshua, is as a God.
Yep.
See? And it's something that we can easily point to out in the world. It's a harder thing for us to realize that we're doing it. See? And so he told Eve, the mystery of iniquity told Eve, he didn't mean you were going to die. He meant you would be as a God like him. See? And that's appealing to people to think, I'm a God. Bow down and worship me. I'm the CEO of Apple. You understand? That deserves respect. People with a lot of money, with a lot of power, see? People who are abusive to other people, it's because they want adoration, they want respect, they want power over you. See? Well, Yahweh Elohim, Yahshua, gave Satan a penalty for what he did there with Eve. So go ahead and read.
Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go.
So because of that lie, he was cursed. See? And it was that same lie, see, up here in the angelic creation. So you know if he said to Eve, you will be like a God, see? Well, what do you think he promised the angels in heaven? See? I am a God. You can be like gods. See? You'll have 10,000 virgins. See? Whatever people tell people. Understand? So what happened in the heavenly must repeat here. So in the 12th chapter of Revelation, why don't you go get that, and I'm going to let Andrea finish. Repeat that then. Start at 1 again, or wherever you were reading.
14. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle.
You will be cursed above all cattle, all beasts. You are cursed. And what is the curse? Read.
And above every beast of the field, upon thy belly shalt thou go.
Now on thy belly shall thou go. Read.
And dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
So if you look at the mystery of iniquity likened unto a snake, well, you've got a snake who is on the dust of the earth on his belly, slithering. See? He doesn't have a chance of taking flight. He doesn't have a chance of standing up. See? He is cursed to the ground or cursed to the earth, never again to leave that state. See? And it's the same with a carnally minded person. To be carnally minded is death, a great curse. See? And as much as this serpent slithers in the dust, a carnally minded person does the same thing. All they can see is the earth. See? And they slither in it. Not even a prayer of standing up spiritually or taking flight. See? It is death, and it's the same death that was given here to that serpent. See? Do you have any more?
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Okay. Go over to Revelation.
Do you want where there was war?
Yes.
Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven.
So here's the serpent in heaven creating a war. Read.
Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels,
Read.
and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven.
So, just as that serpent was cast out, that mystery of iniquity cast out, and was subject to the ground, or is sentenced to the earth plane. It's a life sentence. See? So was the mystery of iniquity with that war in heaven. Go ahead and read. I lost my train of thought, so you have to pick it up and read it.
I'll start at 8. And
What is it,
prevailed not-
catching around here tonight? Or
I'm sorry. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not.
They lost. Read.
Neither was there any place was their place found any more in heaven.
So he was expelled from heaven, expelled from the Garden of Eden, and hopefully expelled in your mind.
Yes.
That's what we want.
Yes.
We want him down on his belly. We don't want him rearing up in our face. See? Go ahead and read.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan,
Yes, that's that old serpent, the devil or Satan. Read.
which deceives the whole world.
He deceives the whole world. See? He deceived in the angelic creation, and he deceives here, now, in this world. See? Read.
He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Mm-hmm. I need, whoa.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. And I heard a voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim.
So now in the angelic creation, see, reread that last verse.
Now is come salvation and strength.
So now has come salvation and strength, read,
And the kingdom of our Elohim.
and the kingdom, read.
And the power of his Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
The accuser of the brethren was cast down. See? Now he accused back here in the garden, and he will accuse this day. See? He can get you so tangled in your head, you don't know what you're thinking. And you're pretty sure everybody else is wrong but you. See? Or you're pretty sure you're being persecuted. It usually goes one way or the other. You're the one being persecuted, or you're the only one that's right. And then there's all of the territory in between. See? And every single one of us has to deal with that. Nobody is above that or beneath that. It happens to one and all. See? Go ahead and read.
The accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
See, now this is just so pretty, and we talked about the other night. They overcame the mystery of iniquity with the blood of the Lamb. See? And Dennis was talking about how that blood, if you read in the 16th chapter of Leviticus, that the life is in the blood. See? So it was the life of Yahshua that defeated the mystery of iniquity, the blood of the Lamb. Read.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony.
So the word of the testimony is the preaching of the gospel, which is the blood of the Lamb. See, that's the life. The life is in the preaching. So that preaching is what cast out the mystery of iniquity. See? And that's what we want here, is that preaching of the gospel will enlighten you enough, see, that Satan and his buddy will be cast down, see? And he always scatters, just like roaches, see? I remember living in a place that had roaches. I know. And you could hear them. You'd be in bed, and you could hear that. And so I'd flip on the light, and they just scatter. See? Well, when the light comes within you, all those roaches take off because they can't deal with the light. See? And that's all those spurious thoughts and doctrines, and I'm the worst, or I'm persecuted, or nobody listens to me, or all that. It should just scatter. See? When the gospel is being preached. See? Read.
And they love not their lives unto the death.
And those who preached the gospel did not love their lives unto the death. See? Now, if they're out there this night laying down their lives in suicide bombings and all that kind of thing for a God who is not a God, see, then what about us? See? You have to be willing to lay down your life, because our lives, each and every one of us, see, needed to get laid down, needed to be destroyed, see? And the only way to keep it down, see, is to continue coming to class and continue preaching the gospel, so that that life will keep the vermin scattered. See? He's getting on you, come to class.
Yeah.
Which is the one thing he tries to keep you not to do.
Yep.
See? I'm rambling, but you know, you know what hypothermia is?
Yeah, when you freeze to death.
When your core temperature begins to drop, see? And that core temperature, to understand, is Yahshua. Now, when you become hypothermic, see, the first thing that your body does is it starts shutting down your extremities, or the blood going to the extremities. That's why people lose feet and use fingers, because the body wants to keep all of the heat that it can in the core, where your organs are, where the vital things that you need are, and your arms or legs are not vital.
Right.
See? Now, as you get colder and colder, you understand, you become, I haven't done this in so long, your mind starts playing tricks on you. So that if somebody tries to help, you fight. See? And the very thing that will kill you is the very thing that you want to do. And the thing that you want to do is fall asleep.
Yep.
That's right.
You just want to close your eyes and have it be done. See? And when you fall asleep, do you understand? That's you're a goner.
Yep.
Do you understand? So as the weather or the world gets colder and colder, all you want to do is go into a corner, lay your head down, and I don't even want to think about it. We're getting this room, and I can't even begin to explain to you the frustrations along the way. See? And it comes to a point where it's like, the heck with it. This is just not worth it. This is too much. This is whatever. See? But Yahshua keeps pushing you through it and pushing you through it and pushing you through it. See? Because the outcome we hope of having this room, one obvious one is with the taping of the class, because Dennis and Mel are going to try to get a desktop computer working. And it's a lot of work. See? We're going to get Cox in there, and we're going to have one speed, and if it's not good enough, we're going to have to increase it.
Yeah.
See? We got to wait and get somebody in there. Carl's got to go in there and put up some sort of apparatus or building all the way around the room to be able to put the charts up. See? We're going to need extra chairs. Harry comes, I don't think he's going to bring a chair. And Shannon comes, he's not going to bring a chair. And he brings anybody else, or heaven for if we have guests, we want to have that. All I'm saying is that it's always something that needs to be done. But now is not the time to fall asleep. Because that's how dark and cold the world is getting. It's just, you want to just sit down and leave me alone.
Yep.
See? But that's exactly what we should not be doing. All right? So I just encourage everybody, see? We have our own thermostat in the room. Yes.
And air conditioning.
So we have air conditioning, we shouldn't be too hot.
Yep.
And we have heat, so we shouldn't be too cold.
Yep.
See? And you can't ask for more than that, and a roof over your head and room for the charts. So we'll just keep on keeping on. All right? So I encourage everybody, hang in there. Nobody hates you. Nobody this, nobody that. Do you understand? We're all in this thing together, just trying to keep warm and keeping the mystery of iniquity on the ground where it belongs. All right?
Yes.
So thank you.
Speaker will be Dr. Carl Emler.
Dennis, the mark of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
I've actually made some progress.
You're not going to get it. It's too late. Don't even bother you. So I guess we've been talking about the mystery of iniquity. There was an interesting I guess it was a news program, maybe it could have been like 60 Minutes or something, but it was talking about all of the satellites that are up surrounding the Earth and what they're doing. They're, for the GPS, for instance, satellites, there's several satellites up there. You need 4 of them in order to accomplish GPS. But communications, like with your computer and stuff, is all done by satellite relays. And then there's the military has satellites in what they call a deep zone. So it's further away than the normal communication type satellites and transmission satellites for information and stuff. And those satellites are for tracking foreign countries and their potential to attack.
Yep.
So they're for defense. And the Defense Department put those in a deep orbit because nobody had the capability to launch a missile and target at that distance. So they felt that their surveillance for the protection of the country was safe from being taken down by a foreign government. But that's changed now.
Of course.
And China now has the ability to target satellites in deep space. As a matter of fact, apparently, according to this, they sent up a satellite and it appeared to have blown apart. And so initially they thought that it was a failed orbital attempt. But the United States monitored the debris, because you have to monitor debris, because if debris gets close to the space station, they alter the course of the space station so that it doesn't get hit by debris. And there's a lot of debris up in space. I mean, a lot of debris. And as they were monitoring this debris, it all of a sudden started behaving non-erratically. It started behaving like it had a purpose.
The debris?
This piece of debris started behaving like it had a purpose. And it was acting, as far as coordinates were concerned, in a manner that showed it could dock with something. So what the United States is concerned about is that this technology, which of course they're developing as well, is such that they can send something up into space and they can dislodge it, and then they can send it to something and it can dock with what they want it to. And say if it's a bomb, they can blow it up. So they can target, instead of having to shoot something up and target, they can shoot something up into space and then maneuver it into place in order to destroy something.
That's worse.
So, I said all that for this reason. You know, we're concerned with ISIS, and we're concerned with what happened over in Texas, 2 guys with a couple of AK-47s, you know, going on social media and getting inspired by ISIS and carrying out a small-scale terror event. And even if you think about the terror event that happened at 9/11, it was also small-scale. We didn't feel it in Wisconsin. I don't think you guys noticed it in California. As a matter of fact, my brothers didn't notice it in Rochester. Now, it was a world event with respect to the broadcast, and it was large with respect to the number of people who were killed and the amount of damage, the spectacular damage that was done. But at the end of the day, it was a neighborhood in a city in a state.
Yeah.
Okay. If the satellites that keep your society together are targeted, then it will shut down the energy distribution of the entire country. It will shut down the water distribution of the entire country. It will shut down the banking of the entire country. So therefore, you won't have water, you won't have energy, you won't have access to money to even go and buy food. And it would be universal. Every single city in every state will be affected. Okay. Now, that's a war in heaven. This little thing you got with ISIS down here is a war on earth. Okay. And people get angry enough, though, as some of them want to just turn the desert into glass and figure that'll do it. You understand what I mean? Use a nuclear weapon, and Iran's, supposedly trying to get a nuclear weapon, and Israel already has them, and Israel will use it in a heartbeat in order to protect themselves, etc. But still, it's an isolated event. But this war in heaven that is being speculated about and is actually developing this night. See, that is the real war from a natural standpoint that reflects the war in heaven back here, see, with Satan and his army. And that kind of destruction, see, and it's just a manifestation as far as you losing your water and your energy and your food and all the rest of the stuff. But it's still a manifestation of the kind of destruction the mystery of iniquity is capable of doing. A manifestation of a principle. Because the mystery of iniquity wants to take away your energy, wants to take away your rivers of living water, see, and wants to make it not possible for you to acquire food. See, these are all spiritual principles. Okay? And the mystery of iniquity is just well, the manifestation of it is ISIS. There's absolutely there is no mercy.
Right.
There is no consideration for your family. You can convert to the mystery of iniquity and it'll still kill you, because that's
What it does.
that's what ISIS does. They get people and they'll convert and they still kill them.
Yep.
Because they're not following rules, and every time they just set up rules worse and worse until it's not possible to follow them, and then they kill you. Okay? So it's a manifestation, and I want to say something about that struck me. Another thing in the news. We've been talking about news. I guess I'll do that. But we watched another news program about the exodus from North Africa of the refugees out of Yemen. And they're coming from Somalia, they're coming from all over into Yemen, and then they are brought, I think, to Turkey in some cases as human trafficking. $5,000 a head. They have whole hotels filled with these people, these human traffickers. $5,000 a head, and then they put them on these boats that can barely make it across the Mediterranean Sea, and they shove them out with either enough gas, or they get them out past the international waters, and then they say, now you have to call a mayday, because they can't make it. They're heading to Italy, because Italy is a straight shot. If you look at the map from the Mediterranean, they're heading to Italy. And they can't make it in these boats, and well, we know that one boat went down and 700 to 900 people were lost. And we just saw in the news today another boat that was just being rescued as it was sinking, and and the people are just piled on top of people on top of people, and down in the bottom there are dead people because people have been suffocated and smushed and all the rest of the stuff. So it's a horrendous thing. I mean, but these people are leaving hell. They're doing this to get out of hell. See? And they interviewed a family, a guy I think he was probably in his 40s. He wasn't an old guy. He had a wife, he had 3 or 4 children, and he was from Aleppo. And Aleppo is in Syria, one of the cities that Assad has absolutely devastated. I mean, these are his people that he's dropped these barrel bombs on, and they did the gassing. They showed this man has gassed his people. Sarin gas, not just chlorine, but it was sarin gas, the stuff the Nazis used in World War II. That's how bad it was. And in Aleppo, when you see pictures of it, it's just rubble. You know, it's just rubble. You wonder, and these people are living in rubble. That's what they're living in. And so this guy was like amazing. So he's sitting in a room in Italy because they had saved him from one of these sinking boats, him and his family. And they're interviewing him. Why would you take your, why would you do this? Why would you subject your children and your wife to the perils of a Mediterranean crossing when you know you may not be able to make it? And he said that he was from Aleppo, and he said, you said, it is terrible there. And he said this, these were his words. He said, there is no love there. He said, brother against brother, there's no love. It's just, there's no mercy, there's no love, there's no compassion. It's every man for himself, even your brother against your brother, he said. And the man was in tears when he said this. He wasn't angry, he was in tears when he said there's no love there. See? Go over in where the Messiah's talking about you are of your father, the devil. Is that it? See, this mystery of iniquity, it has to be this bad. It has to be this bad. Because the mystery of righteousness, see, has to be made manifest. Because the world has a carnal concept of what's righteous. They have a carnal concept of God, whether it's praying to Orion or praying to L. Ron Hubbard or praying to any number of concoctions that people feel will ameliorate their problems. There was a girl, it was on the news today, she was, I forget where she was from now. She was in an orphanage. She was black in an orphanage. Could have been Yemen again. One of the
Girl?
Yeah.
Was Yemen.
Was Yemen. And she watched her whole family be killed. And she said, I prayed to God. This is what I was going to do. I was going to save them. I prayed to God. And her family was killed. She prayed that this is what people do. You know, people think if they ask a God, whether it's a Christian God or a Jewish God or a Muslim God, to do something, save their family, save this, cure that, bring wealth, whatever it is, see? And then they appeal to some concept. And you might just as well be appealing to Mickey Mouse. Because it's not real. These gods that people are praying to are not real. And I don't care if you use a name of a god in the Bible. It doesn't necessarily mean you're praying to that God, because you have to know the nature of what you're praying to, not just some words in a book. And so people read over where ask anything in my name and I'll give it to you. So they try to figure out what name that must be. Well, I asked in Jesus and I didn't get it, and I asked in Yahshua and I didn't get it. Maybe if I ask in Kinley, I'll get it. And I'm telling you, you aren't getting it. Okay? And all you have to do is go right ahead and try and see if it materializes at your front door, because it's not going to happen. Okay? People say, well, I've prayed to God. He's answered my prayers. Okay? My answer to you is, yeah, 50-50. You know, you pray every time. You're bound to, just like the prognosticators, you're bound to hit something right along the way. And right away you grab onto that as if that proves the existence of God, and then 99 other times you asked for something and you didn't get it and you said, oh, well, it's God's will, I didn't get it. Stacking the deck in your favor that this God that you're conceiving of does in fact exist when it doesn't. Okay? We're over in
John 8:34.
I'm going to want 46, 9, and 10, Isaiah as well. Let's see here. All right, let me just do this for a minute. Hold on, don't go away. Don't go away. I know where we're going to go. Who knows? I had no thesaurus in my brain at all. We're going to go to, I don't want John 8:44, I want 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter.
You want to start at 1?
I don't think so. Start at 7.
2 Thessalonians 2 and 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders.
Now this is the mystery of iniquity, all powers and signs and lying wonders. Read.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Now, they perish because they receive not the love of the truth, see, that they might be saved. Now, somewhere it says that you don't have the love of the Father in you.
That's in John 5. I know you that you are not the love of the Father. I think it's in the 5th chapter of John, if I'm not mistaken. 42.
Yes, okay.
John 5 and 42.
So, go ahead.
John 5 and 42.
Why don't you pick it up at 40?
Go ahead, pick it up at 40.
John 5 and 40. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men.
Now, if we remember the other scripture we had read, it's, go back to, Vicki, go back to, okay, all right, go ahead. You got both of them there, Andrea, go ahead.
Want to start at 1 again?
Start where I had you start again, not at 1. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 1.
7.
Yeah.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work.
No, go down to 10.
Okay. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Now, if they don't receive the love of the truth, they will perish, and they won't be saved. All right, now go back over to John where you are.
John
40.
5 and 40. And you will not come to me that you might have life.
Now, we're back to
Life-giving.
life versus being saved, see, and not perishing.
Right.
So it's the same principle. See? So Paul, who had a vision in Revelation and really didn't get these words from Yahshua, when Yahshua spoke them as it's being recorded in John, because he wasn't following Yahshua back then. This, what Paul's talking about now, he got from a divine vision in Revelation on the road to Damascus. Okay. But it's the same thing. Okay. Go ahead and John, start 40 again.
And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Yahweh in you.
Now, this mystery of iniquity does not have the love of Yahweh in him, does not love the truth. Look at, you tell the mystery of iniquity that there's no other name given among men whereby man must be saved, saving the name of Yahshua the Messiah, okay? And they have no interest in that.
No. I like Jesus.
Even though it's in the book, they don't care. Even though in the manifestations that Yahweh has set in order to establish that very principle. See, when Israel came to the Red Sea before the waters were divided, and Pharaoh was behind, ready to take Israel back as slaves into Egypt, and this cloud, which the angel of Yahweh was in this cloud, see, was fire to the Egyptians, and it separated Israel. It was a barrier between Israel and the Egyptians. See, I'm sure you remember this in catechism class.
Sure.
But my point is, here Israel is in a state of dire peril, so much so, just so you know they're in peril, they turn to Moses and say, what, did you bring us out here to kill us?
Right.
Because you'd look at that and say, well, maybe they weren't in peril, because you're so damn obstinate about manifestations revealing principles, if I can put it like that. Okay. Yahweh has established these manifestations so that principles are apparent.
Yeah.
Okay. The heavens declare the glory of Yahweh, and the firmament showeth forth his handiwork. Day unto day other speech, night and night showeth forth knowledge. See? Paul says that the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. Okay. These manifestations do in fact establish principles. And the mystery of iniquity does not want to buy that. Okay. And they don't want to buy it for this reason. Because they want God not to be clearly seen and understood.
Yeah.
So they can say, well, my concept and theory is every bit as good as yours. They do not want an independent investigator. You know how all those riots and stuff go on, and the police get their investigator, and these people get their... and people say, we want an independent investigator, and they do it over there, and Congress doesn't want it, you know, or then they do. Just do you understand what I mean? They want someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight.
Right.
Okay. Well, look at these manifestations. Don't have a dog in the fight. These manifestations are. Okay. And in this manifestation, this cloud, within which was an angel, okay, in fact it was Yahweh Elohim, okay, stood between Pharaoh and the people at the Red Sea and protected them from being slaughtered or taken back captive by Pharaoh. And the people stood there and said to Moses, "What, did you bring us out here to kill us?" They were not kind. The people were never kind to Moses.
No, they weren't.
Okay? And Moses was stuck because it wasn't his idea to go there.
No.
But he had to take the heat for it. But it wasn't his idea to go there. Who am I to go down there?
Yep.
See? He was smarter than a lot of people. A lot of people get a little message from God to go do something. Go, "Oh, well, that's great. I'm going to go do that for God." Idiots. Okay. Moses knew right away the situation he was being sent into and said, "Whoa, who am I to go?" Yahweh Elohim said, "Look it, certainly I will be with you." Okay. That's the only way Moses was convinced to go and do that thing. And really, frankly, that's the only way we're convinced to do anything at all, is to know that it's Yahshua, see, with us. See. Anyways, I want to talk about this situation when Israel made that statement to Moses. It shows that their life was, they were going to perish. See? And here's what Moses did. See? He turned to the people. Now look at this. I just want you to understand, this is the way that it is. These things show forth your Creator, and every other concept that you have of your Creator is wrong. Everything else. If it's not established, if the principle that you're looking to is not established by some, concrete manifestation. I mean, something that you don't have to guess at. Something you don't have to try to make it fit. See? You got to try to make it fit, you better back off.
Yep.
Okay. And Moses said to the people, he said, "Look it, stand still and see the salvation of Mohammed."
No.
L. Ron Hubbard.
No.
No.
The Mother Teresa.
No.
Okay. He said, "Stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh."
Yep.
Okay. Because there is only one salvation. Okay. And you got to stand still to see that. And all the stuff that goes on in your head as far as worrying about this and worrying about that and the mystery of iniquity on you about this and the frustrations of that. See, you got to stand still, see, and see the salvation of Yahweh in everything. You got to pause and reflect on your Creator. And there's a reason for that. See? But let me just finish this. Look at this is Yahshua here. And there was no other way that they were getting through this Red Sea. There is no other name given among men whereby Israel was going to be saved at that point, saving the name of Yahshua, or Yahweh is salvation, which is what Yahshua means. That's it. That's it. See? And so that's it in this type. Now watch. Now watch how this works. You had the Passover before that point. And the Passover was where they had to put the blood on the 4 points of the door. See? And they had to have the lamb, and they had to consume the whole lamb. See? And so here comes, this is in the beginning, and this is to let you know something about your Creator. It's a concrete manifestation of a principle. See? And so here comes Yahshua. See? And it's not L. Ron Hubbard. See? And it's not Mohammed. See? And it's not Volpe. See? And it's not Emler. And it's not Kinley. And it's Yahshua. See? Because it's always been Yahshua. Okay. Isaiah 46, 9 and 10.
Isaiah 46 and 9. Remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh and there is none else. I am Yahweh and there is none like me.
Now, look at it. And it really is Yahweh Elohim. See? And I say that for this reason. There's all kinds of controversy with people worrying about whether to use Yahweh or whether to use Yahweh Elohim. And I'm telling you that as long as you understand what you're reading, you're going to be all right, because Elohim is Yahweh Elohim. See? Elohim is Yahweh. See? But what I want you to recognize in this 46th chapter is that they're talking about Yahweh Elohim, see, this shape and form, and I don't mean this shape and form, I mean this shape and form. In other words, I'm not talking about hands. They saw hands, feet, and a body, and it was the body of heaven in its clearness. See, but this shape and form, see, transfigured into this threefold intangible tabernacle. These guys didn't see the threefold intangible tabernacle. Moses did. See? And we say that, well, this threefold intangible tabernacle and this body they're one and the self same thing. And so when you talk about the shape and form, you could talk about this as the shape and form that was at the top of the mountain. Because we like, people think about hands, feet, and the body. And when they pray to God, they pray to an old guy sitting up on a throne. And when they pray to Jesus, they pray to a hands, feet, and a body kind of guy. And what they saw as far as hands, feet, and the body, including what Moses saw as far as this tabernacle is concerned, is a manifestation of a principle. Now, the shape and form that said, let there be light, that created the creation, is that principle. The shape and form and principle, not a hands, feet, and a body kind of guy standing around a cloud someplace saying, let there be light, and then all of a sudden there was light, which is what people think. Okay? When he formed man in the dust of the earth, they envisioned a hands, feet, and a body guy playing with clay. And then getting down and breathing on him. A hands, feet, and a body guy. Hey? But this Yahweh Elohim, or Yahshua, this is a body it said it's a body of heaven in its clearness. And see, if you had the 40-foot chart, you'd see this here. See? Intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom, love, beauty, justice, foundation, power, and strength. You don't have a hands, feet, and a body on the 40-foot chart. You got squares with intelligence, knowledge, wisdom, love, beauty, justice, foundation, power, and strength in the holy place. Foundation, power, and strength in the holy place.
Yes.
And then righteousness, peace, and joy in the court round about. You actually have 12 attributes on the 40-foot chart, with righteousness, peace, and joy being in the court round about, but still being part of that body. Okay. And that shape and form, in other words, a body of attributes, not a body of hands, feet, and a body. When Yahweh said, look at, with a strong arm did I bring them up out of Egypt. Didn't he say that someplace? Okay. Monty Python would have a big hand come down and grab these people and bring them up, just like he's got the big foot. Monty Python's got the big foot that comes down. See? It's not a hand, but what you do with your hand is what brought them out. In other words, the dexterity and the ability to make things happen and stuff. This is a body of attributes here, see? And this, in Isaiah 46, 9 and 10, I am Elohim and there is none else. I am Elohim and there is none like me. I have declared the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that were not yet done, saying my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. This body of attributes set in motion everything, and it declared the end from the beginning, which is why it's here at the end as much as it is here at the beginning. See? Now, this body of attributes is Yahshua. That's what, Yahshua's not the flesh thing that hung on the cross here. See? It's the spirit that was operating in and through this, but has been operating in and through all the way down through creations. See? It's that body of attributes. And one of those attributes is love. Now watch. This love in this body, how does it function? This love in this body, how does this love function?
As a mediator?
Hey. Get me the football quote.
John 3:16.
John 3:16.
Thank you.
John 3:16. Ready?
Go ahead.
John 3:16. For Yahweh so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Now watch. Yahweh so loved the world, see, that he gave his only begotten Son. I want to take you back here, see, that Yahweh, see, I'm talking about pure spirit. I'm talking about within which the purpose was formulated. Yahweh so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him, see, shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Shall not, remember we're talking about they didn't have the love of the truth in them and they were going to perish? Remember that? Yes. See, so look at, now watch. Now, Yahshua, in the Garden of Gethsemane, I think it was there. See, didn't he say something about get rid of this cup?
Yes. Let this cup pass
Take
before
this cup from me.
But what did he say after that?
Not thy will, not my will, but thy.
Not my will, but thy will.
Right.
Okay. So he gave in to his father, if you will.
Submitted.
Okay. And who else did that? See, didn't Abraham and Isaac?
Yeah.
See, didn't Isaac let Abraham tie him up? Yeah. Guys, it was not a baby.
No.
No.
See? And he didn't argue with his father over this whole thing. See? Look at Isaac loved his father and knew that his father would not do the worst for him, but do the best for him. And anyone who's had a parent that's loved you, you have experienced that no matter how much they seem to be against your will, they have your best intentions at heart because they love you. What I want you to recognize is that when he said, not my will, but your will be done, that's because he loved the Father more than himself. Yeah. Okay. You have to love Yahweh more than your life. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Okay. So watch. You have him. He has the love of the Father in him, see? And the love of the Father, back there in pure spirit, dictated that, see, salvation would come by him. See? This is a love story, whether you want to, it's always been a love story. And just a simple manifestation of that is this. See, you figure out the best way to sell something. Talking about a commercial. See? And if you can get people to feel love, they will buy that product.
Yep.
See, that touch you moment.
Yep, tug the heartstrings.
See, the little puppies they throw all over the place. See, if they can get you to trigger that love in you, see, you will gravitate towards that place, that product, that thing, that person, or whatever it is. Because love, see, is the overriding attribute, see, that it's like the glue. It keeps everything together. And I'm telling you, love keeps, it keeps everything protected. See? Think about Hitler for a minute. I know we always go to Hitler, but he's such a good example. You know, Assad's probably pretty close now. But if you give someone ultimate power and they have no compassion, no love, there is no restraint, nothing, see, is off the table. Cutting off heads, stoning people, whatever, nothing is off the table. And during Hitler's reign, and we're done, we're close to almost over, but during Hitler's reign, they did experiments on people where they would throw water on them and throw them out in the snow and see how long they'd last and if they could revive them because they were curious. Nothing was off the table. There wasn't a scrap of compassion or mercy or love in those people whatsoever. Okay? And this attribute of love, see, is the glue, see, that binds it has the reins on all of these attributes and keeps them in line for a singular purpose, and that is salvation. And you take love out of there, and salvation is gone, and you will perish. Okay? Because it's what keeps everything in line with a singular purpose. Okay? And that's why the mystery of iniquity doesn't have love, and that's why you don't want to be subject to the mystery of iniquity. Because there's no mercy, there's no compassion. See, and you may have a good life, but from a spiritual standpoint, you are being devastated. And you see it with these people who are believing this stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. And you know, see, that there's no good outcome to their souls. And I'm talking about all over the world. See, they have false gods. Every one of them, see? And then not a single one can save any of them. You cannot be saved in any other way, see, except Yahshua the Messiah. See?
That's right.
Thank you.
Please stand. Now unto him that is able to keep us from falling, and to present us faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise Elohim our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty,